Hey guys, checking in again here, create my motivation. Checking in with the next video for £1,000 Best Friends, Season 3, Episode 4. And I'm currently watching 3 shows, so I kind of get numbers mixed up and sometimes even names mixed up. So sorry if I do that, but I just watched this one. I'm about a week behind or so. I'm not sure. Like I said in previous videos, I'm not sure when these will actually go up, but hopefully during the holidays, or after. But anyways, so I watched the next one finally. I was kind of busy before, so I did miss a couple episodes, but I'm back on it now. So this one, it starts off in the beginning, the girls and Scott as well. They meet up outside of this gym kind of place. They don't say what is going to happen, but I mean, if you saw the preview to the next episode, you probably know what it is, but I never watch the previews. I always turn it off when the preview, it's like next time. No, I don't watch that part. I always turn it off because I like to go in blind and I don't like to know what's going to happen. I like to be surprised. That's just my little nitpick. I know a lot of reality shows and a lot of TV in general will show previews and stuff to catch people's interest to watch the next one. Even YouTube videos do it. But I never, ever, anything I watch, I never watch the previews for the next one. I don't know why, it's just a habit of mine. I don't like to know. I want to be surprised. I feel like it's more enjoyable like that. But anyway, so they show up at this gym. It is Vanessa, and Ashley couldn't make it. She wasn't feeling well. Megan's there, Tina's there, and then Scott shows up, and they're like, "Oh, did you tell Scott what was going to happen, what we're doing?" And they're like, no, we didn't tell them. And when they said that, I was like, oh boy. I don't know what they're planning, but we'll see. And Scott, he's already kind of nervous. You can tell. He's like, I don't know what I'm getting into. But, I feel for him because he is practically 600 pounds. So any kind of workout is going to be extremely hard for him or painful, or, he'll be out of breath really easy. So I do feel for him. They go in, and this class, it's an exercise class, but they walk in and there are poles, like straight up stripper poles, embedded in the ground, in the ceiling. And Scott's reaction is so funny. I'm sorry, I'm laughing because it was just funny to me. I feel his pain, really I do. And to him it probably wasn't funny, or maybe it was, I don't know. But some people, they get angry when they're put into something they're uncomfortable with. Like going back to 1,000 Pound Sisters, Tammy was kind of angry. She did not want to do that whole burlesque class thing. So this is kind of a similar situation, except Scott had no idea. At least Tammy kind of knew what she was getting into, but Scott had no idea till he walked in. He started cussing at Vanessa. He was like, it was basically a learn how to twerk class. I mean, I think it seems like a stripper class to me, but twerking, okay, let's call it twerking, because that's, less, I don't know what the word is, but, less extreme, I guess. So yeah, it was like a learn to twerk class. And to be honest, twerking, it's related to belly dancing kind of. And actual belly dancing, no joke, it really works your core really well. Belly dancing, it's like, if you master belly dancing, you're gonna have a flat stomach, okay? Because belly dancing, it basically targets that whole area. It targets your stomach, your abs, your back, even your gluteus maximus a little bit. Your legs are moving, and you're just moving your whole body. But it really focuses on that area. I've always been embarrassed about belly dancing and twerking and things like that. I know if I forced myself to do it, it probably would give me some good results, As far as, losing weight, though, sweating, it's not, well, that's not true. It does, professionals, if you watch them, they do kind of sweat a little bit, But it's more of It's similar to like abs. You don't burn buckets of sweat, right? It's not like a high intensity workout, but it is working you out like you're lifting weights. You are feeling the burn kind of thing. And you can throw cardio in. Like this class, it had twerking, they were moving around, they were seemed like they were doing kind of like jumping jack movements, but not quite. They were jumping around. I felt for Scott because he did put an effort to do it. He wasn't happy about it, but he put in the effort to do it. And the thing is, they gotta think Scott is a male, and males are usually quite hesitant to do anything like this. And the fact that he actually tried just shows that he is open to doing anything, right? And he even says at the end of the class that, it was, even though it was difficult and he wasn't sure about it at first, he stepped out of his comfort zone, which I've talked about before. Stepping out of your comfort zone and trying new things is actually a really good habit to have, especially if you want to reach certain goals that aren't in your life, because these goals are outside of your comfort zone. And in order to reach those goals, you have to change what you're doing, right? And I felt for him because he really did try. And I'm guessing he got tired. Like I said, he's almost 600 pounds. And he got tired for sure and had to sit down. I don't know if it was halfway or 10 minutes in, or I don't even know how long the workout actually was. But he did need to sit down. He got a chair. It was similar to when he took a walk with Vanessa. He did need a chair and he needed to sit down. So I felt for him, and, it was overall very funny. And, Amy was shockingly good. Like, not Amy, sorry, Megan. I told you this would happen. I get the shows mixed up. Megan was shockingly good, like Amy was with the burlesque dancing in the other video I did. Megan was shockingly good at the twerking class. And it was mainly due to confidence as well. But for her, it wasn't just confidence, because Vanessa's very confident too, and she was great. But Megan added this kind of flair to it. She had the rhythm. She had the moves down. It was great. And they were like applauding her and saying, "You go." And oh, it was wonderful. I loved the whole bit. I know that TLC kind of exploits these things for views, but it just felt genuinely wholesome and fun. And there was no drama. They were just having fun and they were burning calories, and it was great. And even Scott, even though he was cussing in the beginning and uncomfortable, he went with the flow and he did it, and he ended up having fun too. So that was great. But at the end of the class, they get together, they sit down, they talk to Tina, the new Tina, and she's been on a liquid diet because she's getting ready for surgery. And you can tell Tina's pretty nervous about it. It ends up going to the surgery date, and, it's interviewing Tina, and she's really upset. She starts to cry a little bit because she's just freaking out about it. And I totally understand that. I am terrified of surgery. She said she's never had surgery in her whole life. So, I mean, I don't think I've technically had surgery. I've had like procedures where I am put under briefly. I guess you could count that as a surgery, but it's not major surgery, right? So I totally see where she's coming from. The Tina from last season, their other friend, refused to do it, and I totally respect that. I don't know what I'd do in that situation. If I knew I could do it myself without surgery, I would do that 100%. But some of these people, they're at the point where surgery is necessary, absolutely necessary, to lengthen their lives, right? I mean, that's just the truth of the matter. But yeah, she's pretty nervous about it. And she talks to her husband the morning before. She tells him her fears. She's crying. Once she says goodbye to her puppies, it's a little upsetting. I was a little sad for her, but, she wanted to go through with it. She mentioned she didn't get a chance to say goodbye to her mom, and she did kind of get dramatic about it. Like, she was talking like this might be her last day, right? And, there's always a risk, but these doctors are very highly skilled and professional as well. But like I said, I'm going to backtrack. I cannot say anything because I've never put myself through this. I think I'd be even worse. I'd be bawling. I'd be horrible. I mean, I remember Amy from 1,000-Pound Sisters. She was bawling her eyes out before the surgery. Very terrifying experience, right? And most of them are scared before going under. So I do understand her for that. But the surgery starts and her husband is in the waiting room. And sweetly enough, Scott shows up to wait with her husband. And I don't know if that was scripted or if Scott is just this wonderful person. Because from what I've seen, Scott is just a genuine, nice person. And he thinks of others, right? Maybe he thinks of others too much and needs to think of himself a little bit more. But he shows up and he sits with her husband, which I thought was just so sweet and kind of him. Even if it was scripted, he could have said no and not done it. But he was there for support. He said he wants to support Tina, he wants to support her husband, and he would want someone to support him if it was the other way around. So the surgery goes on, and they had told husband that it was going to be an hour, so it did go over the 2-hour mark, and he did get pretty nervous about it, and you could tell he was freaking out a little bit, but you know, he's a tough guy and was holding it in, you know. I don't know, I'd probably have freaked out as well, and I would have been worse, but he managed to handle it, and he just waited with Scott. Scott reassured him. But what was actually happening, it did show the surgery. I don't like showing any of those images because it's hard for me to sit through them, so I'm not going to be posting them online. But the surgery gets delayed because, oh my gosh, doctor finds gallstones in her gallbladder, and they decide they have to remove the gallbladder. And I'm just going to say, I have one picture from this, and it's so gross. I'm not going to keep it on long, but it's a picture of these gallstones, and oh my gosh, they are massive. It was a good thing they took them out. It was very gross, very gross, but it needed to be done because I have had gallbladder issues, and when I had mine scanned, they said mine was just a little thick. I don't quite have stones yet, so I have pain just from the thickness. I can't imagine the pain from these giant stones. I mean, she never mentioned it. Maybe she doesn't feel anything. I don't know. I don't know how it is, but she had these stones and they had to remove it. And that's why the surgery went a little bit longer. After that, though, she's done. It doesn't go back to her recovery or anything. It just kind of moves on to Vanessa. Excuse me. And Vanessa is going to see what is the name? Excess skin specialist, similar to the episode of 1,000-Pound Sisters. They're just very similar shows, so I do kind of compare them and go back and forth. But Chris and Tammy went to visit this skin specialist, so she is going to see the skin specialist. And apparently she saw 2 other doctors. You know, I watched the previous seasons, but for some reason, I don't remember seeing the second time she visited a different doctor. Maybe I wasn't paying attention, or maybe I skipped the episode on accident. But she saw 2 previous doctors for her excess skin, and they told her flat out, no, they're not comfortable with doing it. I imagine it's because she has so much skin that in order to remove it, they'd have to, this is me just guessing, I don't know for sure, but in order to remove all the skin, they'd have to create a giant cut, a giant incision, and then, you know, the bigger the incision, the more likely there's going to be infections and problems with the healing process, and then the placement of the incision could be rubbing against something and cause irritation with that. I don't know for sure, but those doctors flat out said no. So yeah, they flat out said, no, we are not doing this. And, you know, she was pretty bummed out about it, and I would have been as well, because that little friend is Betsy May, but it's not really a little friend. It's this giant bag of skin that's kind of attached to her stomach and droops down her hip and leg area. And when she walks or exercises, and even when she sleeps, she was mentioning how when she sleeps, it bothers her. it moves around. When she turns over on her side to sleep, it gets under her, and I bet it hurts. Like, it pinches the skin when you do that, and you pull on it, and it stretches it, and I imagine it hurts quite a bit. So I definitely understand that. She was mentioning how even the wind can blow her skin and cause her discomfort. Like, I have felt the wind before. It's never really bothered me. I've never had my skin move with the wind, so that just kind of struck me as I can't imagine that situation either. So I feel for her. I think she definitely needs this. Of course, surgery is risky and you got to think before you jump into these things. And that's why these doctors are thinking first. She meets with a new doctor. The new doctor takes a look. She does mention Betsy May. I think that would make anyone a little uncomfortable, especially if you're first meeting her for the first time. Because Vanessa has just this crazy, fun personality, but when you first meet someone and they're like that, it can be a bit jarring. But yeah, she mentions Betsy May. He tries not to laugh. He's got to be professional. But he gets her in her, I guess, gown, her hospital gown, doctor gown, however you want to call it. He looks at her skin. He does take a little bit. I don't know if they edited it to pause, but he does kind of pause through his words while he's kind of thinking about it. He's looking. He's just on edge, waiting for an answer. And he essentially doesn't quite confirm 100% they're going to do it, but he says he's not intimidated by it and that they can try, basically, and that they're going to do what they can to do it. So it's not like a maybe, it's like a for sure we will do it if you pass all the medical tests and you are cleared for it. So she has to check her heart and make sure she's just physically able to do this test with low risk of something going wrong. Because if something happens in the surgery and your heart is not there or your lungs are not there or something's not at the level needed, it'll be organ failure, essentially, right? And that's what these doctors are afraid of, and they worry about liability, especially being on a TV show. I'm sure she has to sign some paperwork about it, that she's agreeing to this and a lowered liability kind of thing. I don't know all of the details, but that's what I'm guessing. So yeah, she gets her answer. She's happy. I mean, she acts over the moon happy, like it's happening, but we'll see what happens with the tests. I mean, Tammy was able to pass for her surgery, so hopefully that means Vanessa can pass as well. And this video is getting long just because this episode had a lot in it, but it ends with Scott visiting the same doctor, Dr. Proctor, I believe. He goes to weigh in, and it's kind of weird because he brought his mom along. His mom is Tracy. I don't know I think I'd bring my parents along if, I wanted some support and they were available. But it seemed kind of odd that he brought her because since they introduced her, she's been a little bit negative and doubtful of his success. And in my opinion, that kind of doubt and negativity can really bring someone down and keep them essentially from reaching their goals. I mean, at the end of the day, you have to do what you need to do to reach your goals and not let any outside opinions affect you. But when it's someone as close to you as like mom or your best friend or your spouse, it can really drain you and bring you down when they doubt you, when they don't believe in you. You think that the person that loves you the most, someone like that, you would expect them to believe in you and support you and tell you you can do it and don't let anything stop you. But she seemed a little doubtful of him when they first introduced her in the first episode. And in this one, it's kind of the same thing. He tells her he hasn't had fast food and he's doing really good. And she's like, are you sure about that? But to be fair, he did later admit to cheating several times. So she is right to doubt him. But still, you could be a little more positive, I think. So they go to the doctor's office. He does end up weighing in, and he's very nervous. The red flag I caught was that he was talking about how he would be so upset if he was over 600 pounds. So in my mind, that just told me, okay, he really did cheat a lot, maybe, because if he's thinking he gained weight, that means he's got to be eating a ton. I mean, I don't want to be offensive or anything, but that's just how it is. After 2 months, you think you gained weight when you're supposedly working on yourself and reaching your goals, right? But that was just the red flag I noticed, so I was worried for him for this weigh-in. But a little bit of relief, he did lose about 15-ish pounds. Don't quote me on that. But he started at around 596 and ended around 581. He was supposed to lose about 30 pounds, and they said it was 2 months. I'm not sure if it was 1 or 2, though, but they were talking like it was 2 months. So he lost about 15 pounds, which is still good. He didn't mention the first couple of weeks were hard, and he did slip up, so he did admit to that, but he did, at the end of the day, only lose half of what he was supposed to. So I kind of felt for him. But his mom chimes in and she's like, well, no, just last week you went and had wings. Because he was saying, oh, I stopped having my all you can eat unlimited wings night weeks ago. But she's like, no, wait, you just went last week. His mom said that. And the look on his face, Scott was definitely pissed. He was shocked that she would, I guess, tattle on him, he said. He was very upset. And he said that he only had 6 wings out of the box of 85, and she was basically saying there's no way, that he definitely ate more. It kind of broke my heart, though. I mean, no one likes to be caught in a lie. No one likes to be held accountable to that extent, especially in front of the doctor who you respect a lot. I feel like maybe she could have been a little more gentler about it and just, maybe left it at, oh, I think he did have wings, but not like go into it or say, maybe he is cheating a little bit from what I've seen and he'll work on it. Like, just be a little more gentle about it, right? But no, she kind of nitpicks at it and he gets really upset. He ends up storming out of the office, doctor's office, into the hallway. And I wasn't expecting this, but he just has this little tantrum session in the hallway. I was not expecting that at all from him. I mean, from what we've seen so far, he's been this sweet, kind-hearted, stable person. But when you're embarrassed to that level, I guess anyone can kind of have a little fit. But if it were me and I knew the cameras were recording, I don't know if I'd have that reaction. I mean, maybe the reality show wanted him to have this reaction and encouraged it, but it seemed pretty genuine. It reminded me of my own kids, They act like this when something bad happens to them or they don't get their way. But he was out in the hallway just kind of throwing his arms up, upset, cussing, and angry. And I was just like, it's a bit much. It was definitely a bit much. But that was how the episode essentially ended. And we'll just have to wait and see what happens in the next one. This has gotten over 20 minutes, so I'm going to wrap it up here, but I definitely thought that was crazy. That whole tantrum was just crazy for an adult. I mean, I'd expect Vanessa to scream and stuff, but this wasn't even just screaming. It was like a tantrum, like a child's tantrum. But, he is a young guy, and, if I've never been through a situation like that. Maybe I've come close to it, but I don't know how I'd react either. But yeah, I'm going to shut this down now. Thank you so much for listening to my rambling. Have a great, wonderful day. Make it a motivating day. If it's not so far, if it's kind of a meh day, I hope you do one small thing that will change it around or turn it around for you. And just take it easy. Go for your goals. Work on it. Increase, and you'll go far. I know you will. Hopefully I can take my own advice. So have a great day. Happy goal getting, everybody.